A few nuggets, Passover wisdom to share from my Torah learning this week. What is the true definition of leaving Egypt, of someone feeling stuck in stuck energy when they believe that today that looks just like yesterday is going to continue to look the same tomorrow? So just because today looks like yesterday doesn't mean tomorrow will too. And just because today looks like yesterday doesn't mean we're all through. Help me co-create, Lord. That's the song I wrote for my show. Create something new today with our mouth, with our words, with our intentions, with our actions, with our emotions that wasn't in existence yesterday. Passover is the story of the Jewish people saying, you know what, just because paro, which starts with a pa, which means mouth in Hebrew, took away our voice because we didn't have free speech. We couldn't study Torah, actually as a klal, but we knew there were things that Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all of our forefathers and mothers were doing before. We weren't allowed to do it. We didn't have freedom of religion back in Egypt. So we knew something was off. Once we all collectively came together and used our mouth for good and escaped in the 18 minutes and we took the matzah with us, that was us showing God we're ready. We're ready to be united, even though only 20% of us did it. That 20% united and left. We have thinking that this one man that started with the mouth, that had such a loud voice, a booming voice that was so scary, by using our mouth for good and praying together and getting out of there together and singing to God as we left. Pesach, which is the word for Passover, Pes means mouth and Sach means words, that just because we have freedom of speech, which is something I'm a huge advocate for, doesn't mean we should just use our words whenever we want, however we want. Like TMZ, in my opinion, not a great way of using our voice. Because middle of the Seder, we break the matzah, we hold it up and we say, this is good. Why are we doing that? Because God wants to highlight that all of us are broken. God created each of us to be broken for good reason. One, because we need other people to help us. Each of us has something special to add to the collective, whether it's in our family, in our communities, in the world. There's learning in the fixing. The Jewish women in Egypt were depressed, but not as depressed as their husbands. Survivor's guilt. It's feeling like, okay, now what? We escaped and 80% of us died in there because 80% of us were not brave enough to leave. And now we have 20%, so now what? The women said we survived, so that must mean that God wants us here. And they would whisper into the men's ears, let's bring Mashiach, let's have babies. And the women, who were probably all getting their time of the month at the same time and getting pregnant at the same time, decided to labor under apple trees. Why? Because apples are the only fruit that once they come out of the tree, that's when the leaf forms. In other words, there isn't a leaf that protects it like a shell and then the apple comes. No, the apple comes and then the leaves come to protect it. That is the ultimate test of faith, is when a woman has a baby and she's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a miracle. I'm going to have it and we'll see what happens. If it wasn't for them having the babies, even when they didn't have the means, even when they didn't even have a house, we wouldn't be here. All of us, any Jew, Christian, or Muslim in the world, we all come from those people. Some of you may be sitting there today, like myself, and thinking, I'm so grateful that I have free speech and not get beheaded. Whereas in a lot of other countries, it's not the case. If you don't believe me, try it. Some of us have family members, friends, colleagues that choose to use this very platform to promote ideas that make us feel sick, that make us feel like I don't agree with that at all. So much so that I know this person, just by speaking this way, has blood on their hands. They're creating dangerous rhetoric and misinformation, so much so that now when people listen to it, they're going to go out and actually do harm. Why does it feel so bad when right now people are choosing to use their free speech, using their free will to make horrible choices with their words? Like Dave Smith, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, all these people who are promoting Max Blumenthal, who says, I'm Jewish. Meanwhile, only his great-grandfather was Jewish on his dad's side. You go to sleep at night knowing, well, people think he's Jewish and he's representing our people in the worst possible way. When you know someone who is using their speech for bad and you pray for their souls and you hope that they get it eventually, if you know someone like this, or you may know someone who knows someone like this, listen a little further, because I have a story for you. There was once a Buddhist monk who was praying out on a beach, and he was sitting by the water and he could hear the water and the waves were going back and forth, and he was just enjoying himself so much, and he was praying and he was meditating and he was having such a beautiful, delightful day, when all of a sudden, as his eyes were closed and his hands were like this, he started to feel the rocking of his boat. First it started out a little light and then it got a little bigger, so he unfortunately had to open his eyes and stop his meditation just to see what it was, and he noticed that it was another boat. So he knew it was a test because he's very spiritually attuned, and he just sat there and it was getting more and more and more annoying, and he was interrupting his meditation practice just to say to the divine, please make it stop. Whoever this is that's making the boat do this, tell them to stop. It's really annoying me. And then he started having really negative feelings about the person who kept hitting this boat. He's like, it's enough already. Like, I got the test. Like, I know that you're trying to make my meditation stronger, but you should just tell them to stop. And then he started hating the person, and he was like, they took up space in his brain, and he was so angry at this boat guy. And when he realized, okay, I've meditated enough, it's been 2 hours, I'm in hell in my head, I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to yell at this person because they ruined my whole meditation. He stops the meditation and he opens his eyes and he puts up his hand to yell at the person and show with his hand how angry he was. He even thought of like smacking the boat. And he realizes that there's nothing in the boat. He realizes that it's an empty boat. There's literally no one in there. There's no animal. There's no blind person. There's no deaf person. It's literally just a boat. But at that moment, it was sent for him. So he knew, okay, this is a test from God. And what he realizes is so many times, even when there is a person inside, it's clearly, number one, a test from God that is annoying us and blocking us from having a meditative moment or day, right? Number two, very often, even when it's a person, what they're hitting us with is just emptiness. Like, when Dave Smith goes to sleep at night, he's not learning Torah. He's not saying to himself, how do I make this world a better place? How can I make it a better place for my children and become a better Jew? Because I was born Jewish and my mom's Jewish, apparently, I think. And I want to feel a sense of peace and belonging and unity with my fellow Jews. And I also, you know, because I married somebody who wasn't Jewish, I want to like bring them into the faith a little bit, or like teach them how beautiful my culture is. No, he's going to sleep at night and he's got to remember all the talking points from these books that he's been reading, because I did a deep dive on him, like all these negative things that he knows about Israel and the Jewish people, and he can use them. He has to memorize them and constantly go over them over and over and over again, because in his head he's made these arguments. It's not natural, it's just something he learned. So he's going over it again and again and again so he can sound smart and sound cool. Meanwhile, all Douglas Murray had to say was, when was the last time you were in Israel? And when he said, well, I've never been, his entire argument just fell flat, because he studied it, but he never went. It's like, try to use ingredients and study all of the ingredients to make a great sourdough. But if you don't have the starter, if you've never actually put the ingredients together and used the oven and like actually made the bread, then you don't really know what you're talking about. You could talk about it, but there's nothing there. Think about him. And I have members of my family and friends of mine who literally went to vigils for the Ayatollah of the IRGC. Like, they're so not well. They have so much rhetoric and misinformation in their head. They have so much propaganda that they live with, that they have to keep memorizing over and over again. And some of them get paid to actually go and protest, because deep down, there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of hot air. It's a bunch of arguments instead of an actual belief system. So how do we fight the people who are actually saying really weird things, using their voice for harm, hopefully unknowingly, but they're actually causing harm to innocent people? We just put more and more and more and more light into the world. And so my prayer for myself and you and the rest of the world is, this month, because Nisan just started, can we all think about the words that we say as much as we can before we say them, but then actually use them for good. Don't just sit back and scroll through and say, oh my God, Candace is saying that now, and Tucker is saying that now, and this person's trying to argue with them now about what they're doing wrong. How much light can you pack into the world? How much kindness can you put into your mouth and then put out there in the world and rectify the negativity with goodness, with sweetness? That's my challenge for us all. And may we listen for the good too. May we really go out of our way to listen for goodness. And when we hear it, elevate it, amplify it.